Recently I was really into the bands like Crowbar, Down, which sound people call sludge metal, which is kinda a slowish, fuzzy-ish cousin of groove metal. And upon playing those songs, I could not help but feel like I've heard some of that vibe before. And then I realized, man, that's Metallica. Sludge metal is a label that people never put on Metallica, even though that element has been present in Metallica's sound at least since Load, and occasionally even in the 80s. Firstly, let's define what is sludge metal. I'm more new to it, even though I like bands like Pantera. This is a really close genre, but has more of a hardcore punk, of that raw atmosphere, and sometimes the line between groove and sludge is very blurred. To me, the difference is as follows. Groove metal is more mid-tempo-ish, more tight, and it makes you feel like moving. Sludge metal, in its turn, is more of a slower side, simpler, and it makes you feel more like pouching, dragging through the mud. That hence the name actually, the sludge is like kinda some waste, mud, etc. swamp. And both explore the blues themes. When you hear it, you know it. And then what happens when I realized Metallica has a lot of it. The best examples probably are on Hardwired, like Dream No More, Now That We're Dead, Am I Savage? And here and there Metallica employs these kinda licks in more of a breakdown-ish ways. Load and Reload are really full of that kinda stuff. But good examples of that would be Better Than You, Outlaw Tour, and essentially every song from those albums. It was soaked with that kind of influence, which might have come from the bands like Alice in Chains. Some would say that more of a stoner metal influence by Kais, etc. But to me, I really have a hard time to tell the difference sometimes between these two sounds. It's also the lyrics, the community, etc. But to me, the instrumental part is what defines the genre. And to Metallica, it served like an antidote to all the stuff they did in the 80s, more of a tight and thrashy stuff. Then I hear some sludge in Money's Human. I Disappear. And of course, say 10 Gear. Just take any song like some kind of monster, man. The album is hard to classify, it's commonly referred to as alternative metal, but yeah, this is basically half sludge. Some riffs from Death Magnetic could be there too, like Cyanide. And probably the best example of that sound, The View from Lulu, which feels like the slowest Metallica ever got. However, the speed, actually the lack of it, it's not the only criteria to define it as sludge. It should also include some dissonant-ish intervals, but not too much. Fuzzy guitar with scoot mids is also desirable. And, which is most importantly, is not too tight. Which is also why Metallica sounds more sludgy since Load and Reload. I don't know if it's because James records not tight, I'm sure he tries his best, he still got it. Maybe it's because more of a mastering, mixing thing. Now Metallica sounds more wide. To me now. Just compare that sound to, say, Injustice for All in the Black Album. And speaking of the 80s, were there any sludgy moments in Metallica too? Such as Harvester of Sorrow, To Live Is To Die, For Whom the Bell Tolls. Yeah, there's a lot of mid-tempo to slow moments of that period in Metallica. I used to thought of those moments more like groove metal predecessors of that sound, and the closest to the sludge feel gets the thing that should not be. To me, just it evoked some different feelings than just headbanging, but more of a kind of terror. Cthulhu is fucking... which also contains the successor of that song, Dream No More, on Hardwired. Those songs actually are down-tuned, which is also one of the features of that genre. But at the same time, song like Said But True is more groove than sludge to me. Again, it all depends on the feel. You hear it, you know it. You can't really pinpoint the exact things, the exact nuances to really set it apart, to classify. And that's where comes your help. Just if you are really the sludge nerd, sludge geek, tell me in the comments the difference between sludge and groove, and do you really hear the sludge influence in Metallica? Write it in comments.